Hello, welcome to this first in a series of interviews from Steampunk over Ether. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be interviewing a few people, and basically to get people excited about Steampunk over Ether, explain the idea, and so on. So, Steampunk over Ether is, if you haven't come across it before, is actually a virtual steampunk festival. Given that we can't actually meet in the real world anymore, I thought it'd be quite fun for performers and people like that to have a way of performing and making sure that they can still get people interested in their CDs and their products and all those sorts of things. So that's the idea behind Steampunk over Ether. But it's also to entertain and to educate and amuse and all those sorts of things. To get involved, you can, if you want to get involved, you can email news@steampaper.co.uk. And if you want to get involved, and if you want to be interviewed, for instance, if you want to provide some video content, if you want to provide some workshops, we're looking for all sorts of content over the weekend that we're going to play on the SteamPaper page, and that's the weekend of the 25th, 26th of April. So do get in touch if you want to get involved. Now, we are going to interview a very special man now. He's been described as steampunk royalty. He's been described as the world's greatest Peter Cushing lookalike, and he's been described as that man over there stealing the gin. So, without any further ado, let's introduce Herr Döktor. Oh, there we go. Caught him having a drink. Look, see, in his natural habitat.
Yes, well, I think it's an old law or tradition that when you interview me, I need a stiff drink. So, cheers.
Cool. So, I'm just hoping that we're going to get some viewers shortly, but I'm sure we will. Anyway, so what have you been up to the past couple of weeks then? So, presumably you've been working on mad schemes, but you presumably can't now work at your laboratory. Is that right?
Well, what I usually do of a day has come to a sudden and abrupt halt, which is in many ways a terrible thing, but in a number of ways is quite good, because it means I can actually get on with some more interesting things. But yes, like everybody else, I've been encouraged to work from home, which basically means I get up a bit later.
See, for me, I work from home anyway, so it's like what's changed? Not a lot has changed for me, which is so I'm kind of feeling guilty that I'm still working. But anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about steampunk and maybe how you got involved in steampunk, and then we'll talk about some other things. So we've got some questions coming in now. Let me just put that on screen. I think I can put that on screen. Yeah, there we go. So Malika's asking, can you confirm that the laying on of hands will cure all ills?
Well,
I don't think you're that kind of doctor, are you?
Oh, I'll have a go. It depends. How soon can Malika get here?
I don't know. We'll have to find out and get back to you on that one. So, okay, she's shouting at me from downstairs now. It's very silly. Anyway, oh, hello. We've got an Alex. Hello, Alex. How are you? Good to see you. So how did you get involved in steampunk in the first place?
Well, like most things, by accident. It was an old friend and colleague of mine messaged me out of the blue, as kind of how all messaging works these days. It's never a plan. It's always just a message from out of the blue. And said, "Hey, there's this fantastic blog and forum that's right up your street." And he sent me a link to Brass Goggles, which is still going, just about. It nearly died earlier this year or late last year, but the man in charge of it, in charge of the day-to-day running, managed to patch it and fix it. So Brass Goggles is still there. But basically, it was because, like a few people have said about steampunk before, I've always been steampunk, but until that day, I didn't really have a name for it.
Sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments, and here's one. Carl Burnett, keep it clean, gents. It's before the watershed. Yeah, well, he's met us, right? He knows us. I mean, coming from
I
Carl,
can't.
that's a bit rich, don't you
I
think?
can't. If it's Carl, I have to say, physician, heal your bloody self. Dear, oh dear.
Too right. So, what sort of things? Because you make things, obviously. That's one of the main things you do. So,
Yep.
what basically, what sort of things did you start making when you started getting into steampunk?
Well, I think the first sort of steampunk. Well, no, I think the first. Well, let me take you back a good 12, 13 or so years, and I was in a garden centre, and I saw one of those massive plastic cloches, and I thought, oh, I can make a space helmet out of that. And I thought, well, how else could I make a space helmet? And I started balancing it on top of a planter, the big bell-shaped planters, and a lady walking past said, oh, that's a good idea. I said, what? She said, well, putting a cloche on top of a planter. And I was like, I was too busy thinking about space helmets by that point, and I just agreed and bought the two and brought them home. And initially it was going to be a 1950s Robbie the Robot sort of space helmet, and about the same time, steampunk sort of entered my life. I thought, no, damn it, I'll do a Victorian one. But as the way these things go, it wasn't the first steampunk build I finished. The first steampunk build I finished was a ray gun, which I think I've still got somewhere. Not to hand, unfortunately, otherwise I'd show it to you. But yes, but that was it. The first full steampunk built thing I did was the steampunk space helmet of legend. So yes, that was it. Once it sort of leapt off the page and became a real thing we could do, that was my first build.
Okay, and I know you've got various things that you've built over the years, including the space helmet. Is there a place where people can see that? Have you got? I mean, you've got a website, I believe. You must have a page on Facebook. Everybody has a page on Facebook.
Yes. There's Herr Döktor's Laboratory on Facebook, of course, and there is a sadly poorly maintained blog, which is possibly one day going to metamorphose into a proper website, but that involves myself and my web designer not doing anything at the same time.
Okay.
So we can actually talk about it. Now would be probably a very good time to give her a nudge. It would probably be a good thing, yes. But we're both hoping to basically turn it into an archive of what I've done before, a repository of knowledge.
Repository.
Repository, yes. Which, given my depth of knowledge, shouldn't take too long to do. And a nice, fun, interactive experience for anybody who comes to see it, with virtually no chance of disintegration.
Yeah. Apparently, here's another comment. Ian Hannigan's saying, Herr Döktor, it still remains your fault. I'm not sure what he's referring to. I think he's probably referring to everything, to be honest.
Actually, no. It's he tells a lovely tale of being with the RAF. He's a former RAF engineer. He was I think he was in Afghanistan or was he in Iraq? It was somewhere in the Middle East. And
I'm sure
he was
he'll correct you
the
if you're wrong.
Oh, he will. Oh, inevitably. He saw a BBC video, science and technology video, which featured a section on steampunk, which I happened to be in, and he went, "Oh, that's for me."
Right.
So yes,
it's
he occasionally grabbed me by the buttonhole and says, "It's still your fault." So yes.
Cool. So I guess this is a point at which to ask our audience: can you actually hear us all right? Is everything okay? Because I'm still playing around with the technology. I'm still fiddling with it. So I don't know. I'm fiddling with the technology. Can I just point out this? So I do need to know whether it's all working. Now what I wanted to ask you about was earlier on you had some ironing boards in that room. I saw them. So Ian says he was in the Falklands, by the way, when he's
the Falklands.
Yes,
not the Middle East.
No,
sorry, Ian.
There's not a lot of difference, frankly.
Well, penguins. That's about the only difference.
You don't get many penguins in the Middle East. No.
Well.
So behind you,
I could actually tell you a story about penguins in the Middle East, but that's probably for another day.
Oh, okay. Is it rude then?
No, it's true and quite dull. So definitely for another day.
Oh, okay. So behind you, you've got some stills from what look like films. So
yes.
Now, what films are they? And tell us a little bit about those.
Well, these two sets of pictures here. That's from my favourite film, Carry On Screaming, which I think is by default and probably a de facto, and other Latin phrases I don't understand, steampunk film. I mean, it doesn't take itself remotely seriously. It's got a mad scientist in it. It's got a a voluptuous lady in a very tight red velvet dress.
Stop it. Stop it.
Oh, sorry, miles away. A bungling detective and his even more bungling assistant, and Charles Hawtrey. So, yes, definitely steampunk.
Cool. And you've also been described as a Peter Cushing lookalike. But in fact, it's remarkable the number of people you tend to look like, because at one point you look like Peter Cushing, another point you look like Patrick Macnee. I mean, and then I happen to think, and nobody will get this reference, I don't suppose, but I happen to think you look like Max Normal. But there we go. So there's does that ever confuse people?
I think actually Peter Cushing is whom I most often get told I look like. But one particular person I've been told I look like, and I actually saw him interviewed on the One Show once, where I actually thought to myself, bloody hell, I don't remember doing that. And it was David Vanian of The Damned, who has taken to wearing tweed suits and occasionally glasses. And it's like it's quite scary how many people I do look like. And
you just got one of those faces.
I think so. One of the ones recently. There's been a Netflix series called Altered Carbon.
Yes.
Which I enjoyed a great deal.
Yeah, me too.
I think it was the second episode of the first series where he goes and checks into his hotel, which is based on the works of Edgar Allan Poe. Mm-hmm. And of course, an AI of Edgar Allan Poe materializes behind the desk, and I just took one look at it and went, oh, bugger, who's going to be the first to say that looks like me? And the answer was Nick Hewitt. Nick Hewitt was the first person to say it looked like me. But yes, it's a cross I've come to learn I have to bear, that I remind people of other people.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because I'm so damn dull.
Well,
they have to.
Carl happens to mention that he says, I tell you what it looks like, trouble. That's what he says. That's what Carl says. People say I look like that Rostov chap, but I don't believe him. I don't think it's true.
What?
Occasionally.
Well, not that old count.
Yes, that old count, yes. So what are you working on at the moment then? What mad schemes and nefarious plans are you working on at the moment?
Well, I've got two long-term projects, which I promised myself during any downtime I would try very hard to finish, and I've been out of my normal routine for 2 whole days now, and so I haven't touched either of those, but I have started 2 new projects.
Okay, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you there for a second. Apparently, Joe Slatter says, I was glad to see you back in Altered Carbon Series 2, as it happens. Have you watched Series 2 yet?
I'm yet to catch up on that.
It's on my list to watch as well, yeah.
Well, we're currently binging Futurama.
Oh, right, okay, yes.
Because you know, it's got a robot that likes blackjack and hookers and invites you to bite his shiny metal arse, so you know, obviously it's family viewing.
Good news, everybody. So Malika's asking, have you strayed into diesel punk at all?
Well, one of the projects I've got on the old workbench at the moment is very much diesel punk informed. I like to call it my secret project, but everyone's already guessed what it is. It's a Ghostbusters backpack. It's actually right here.
Right.
I might as well show it to you. So bear with me. If we can get it all on screen and I don't drop it and I don't hit the computer. This is
ooh. Can we get everybody going? Ooh.
Diesel punk.
Wow. That's a big one.
Backpack. That's what she said, sir. Oh, I'm not allowed to say that out loud, am I? Damn. But it was one of those things. Idea had been in the back of my mind for a very long time.
Yes.
I started working on it, and I had absolutely no idea what to do for the neutrino ray. And this is the neutrino ray, if you can see that there.
Oh, yeah.
And the genesis of this was this part here, which is a 1920s Black & Decker drill, which I found by the side of the road where I work that was being thrown out.
Yeah.
And when fate hands you things like that, you kind of have to run with them, don't you? It's like, well, clearly that was meant to be, but it's got... I don't know if you remember that in the early days of steampunk there was an American chap, his name I can't remember, who made a lovely device called a spirit catcher, which involves a plasma dome and various electrodes around it. So I've incorporated one of those, a more refined version because it's later on. But yes, this is a diesel punk Ghostbusters pack. I'll move it out of the way and try not to break anything.
Andrea's asking, does your bum look big in that?
Does my bum look big in anything, Andrea? Honestly.
So, oh, and Niels is saying, not a minion in sight. Dubious. Now, I think you showed me.
Patience, dear boy.
I think
Patience, dear boy.
Let me wait for you to put that away, because otherwise, I don't want you to break it. I don't want you to damage it. But
Hey.
I'm pretty certain you showed me a minion earlier.
Well, yes. I believe Nils is referring to a recent competition started by Professor Elemental.
Yes.
He was intending to find a nemesis, but would you believe it? Some of the finalists were cheating in the vote. I'm very upset about this because I wasn't one of the ones that was cheating.
No, you missed a trick there, didn't you? Really?
Certainly not on the scale of the others, anyway. But yes, if you go to Professor Elemental's page on Facebook or his website, there's a lovely gallery of villains, and Herr Döktor is one of them. A beautiful illustration by our very talented and very modest friend, Mr. Tom Brown,
yes,
which he did.
Who's watching us now, by the way?
Oh yes.
Let's wait. Shout out
beautiful
to Tom.
Illustration.
Yeah.
And on that beautiful illustration, he drew and painted me a beautiful robot companion, a minion.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I saw that, I went, well, gosh, I'm going to have to make one of those. And here is a close up of the minion he drew.
Lovely.
As you can see, it's in the traditional minion colours of yellow and blue.
Yes.
And of course, in the last 2 days, as I say, started another 2 projects when I should have been doing others. I've made a start on my own minion here.
Awesome.
As you can see, a nice hovering minion. Obviously, this is in some of the raw materials. I've made a nice socket for the arm there, and a nice domed head, and the start of the dungarees. But yes, if you keep an eye on my Herr Döktor's Facebook page, I'm sure you'll see developments as they go. I mean, I've basically officially announced it on live TV now, so I suppose I ought to show it to people. But yes, that's another one of my projects I shouldn't have started.
Got a comment from Carl. Apparently, his children say you look like CBBC presenter Ben Shires. Now, I have no idea who that is, so I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But apparently Malika's saying, "Take notes. I need a minion." I thought I was her minion. I thought I was being replaced already. And somebody called J.J. Bannister. Can you tell us about some of the components you use in your projects? Have you been stealing stuff again from the kitchen?
It's been said quite often by myself that a lot of what I do is just a load of old rubbish. That's because I make a lot of the things I make out of a load of old rubbish.
Oh, right, okay.
I mean, for instance, the large round part of the at the base of the proton pack there is a former frying pan.
Yes.
And the middle section of the minion here is a piece of 8-inch waste pipe, unused, I hasten to add.
Right.
So yes, I basically repurpose things. I mean, that is one of the joys of steampunk, is that it's very much about reuse. There's a lot of reuse. I mean, I think I'm sitting here in I think this rather lovely piece of neckwear was made by Belle Epic, who can be found on Facebook. She deals in vintage clothes and makes the odd bits as well. And this is out of what they call a fat quarter, the end of a roll of cloth. This I bought in a charity shop. So yes, I basically wear other people's cast-offs, but the thing is, I make them look better than they ever did.
Yeah, you've got a bit of a reputation for visiting charity shops and finding things that fit you miraculously, which doesn't make other people jealous at all. No, not at all.
No. So I hear. No, but at the moment, I had to go out and buy some vital supplies that might have involved alcohol earlier, and I did go past the charity shops, and they're all closed for the duration.
Yes, no. What will you do? You'll be clothless, if that's a word.
I'll be naked. No.
Yes, not a thought we want to contemplate.
I was actually thinking of while we were all locked up or locked down or whatever we're doing, of maybe doing a suit of the day post. You know, I've got about 35 suits, so I'm pretty sure I could last out the majority of this lockdown in a different suit of a day. But that would require effort.
Yes,
so.
I was going to say that would be awesome, but then I was thinking, no, that's quite a commitment, really. Quite a commitment. Oh, apparently, Andrea's saying you own all the Harris tweed, which I gather. I must admit, I've had very little joy in finding things that Harris tweed that fits me. I have found a few suits that fit me nicely, and the lovely Malika has modified them where necessary. So really good. Yes, Malika's pointed out. I think you pointed out earlier that the off license has been declared an essential shop. So
yes, and the nation breathed a sigh of relief.
Yes. Well, fortunately, we're not short of gin in this house. I have to say.
Really?
So,
don't say.
Yes, we do seem to have a bottle or two, and fortunately, I have a few beers, so I'm good too. So that's all good. So tell us a little bit about. Oh yes, I know what I wanted to ask you about. Because I know that you've appeared in Count Rostov's radio plays quite a few times. And that's mainly because you have quite a good voice talent, which some people might not know if they've only seen your things that you make and not come to a performance of a radio play. And I wouldn't blame them for that. Let's face it, I wouldn't blame them for that. But
it's a quiet tape.
I was going to get you to do the entire interview as your character, Herr Döktor from the radio play. So give us a little bit of Herr Döktor. How does he talk? What does he work on?
The radio version is don't think it's based on anyone in particular, but I've always had this vague idea that there was a crossover point in the war films in the late 60s, early 70s, where they went from Achtung, Achtung, Schweinhund, slap, slap, to we have failed in our duties as human beings. And Herr Döktor's personality in the radio show is definitely someone who has failed in his duty as a human being. So he's got this slightly lazy German accent. It sounds like he's about to go into a hospital, as opposed to blow anything up. But unfortunately, generally just blows things up for you, doesn't he?
Now, okay, so JJ Bannister has asked you to demonstrate his Matt Berry impression. So that's that. I want to see that one. And also yes, and Carl Burnett's agreed. Sorry. So yes, come on then, Matt Berry. Chop chop.
Well, it's I see now. Let's see if I can think of a particularly Matt Berry.
The phrase.
Yes,
I like,
Matt Berry has got a particular way of talking, and as you know, sometimes he has a particular way of. The trouble is, when anybody actually asks me to do a particular impression, it goes right out of my head.
See, I like it when he goes, "Damn these electric sex pants." That's about one of my favourite lines from the IT crowd.
I think my favourite line of his lately is from the What We Do in the Shadow series, where he just jumps in the air and shouts "Bat!" Turns into a bat. Yeah, and the other vampires say, one of them, Nandor says to his wife, "You know, he doesn't actually have to say bat. He does know this, doesn't he?" And she goes, "I've told him, but he doesn't care." So yes, Matt Berry's got a very interesting voice. It's definitely I've seen him as Matt Berry, and he's quite a quick talker, and there's a bit of the timbre, but the voice he uses as an actor when he's being an actor, and he's talking like this, and he's doing the radio thing of yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango, all that sort of thing. It's yeah. I can't really do it when I'm asked. Tell you what, we'll carry on talking. Let's see if I can slip into him.
I've definitely got an idea now for a character in the radio play. It's definitely going to be a character in the next radio play who's very, let's say, Matt Berry-like. Yeah, I think that's definitely...
Well, go for it.
Definitely the route
yes,
to go
the
down.
trouble... Hang on a second. I think I've got a bit of Matt Berry coming through now. Yes, now I'm not actually trying. I'm getting a bit of Matt Berry. Yes, that's better. Yes, a bit more from the... It's a little bit higher in the throat than I usually talk, so it's quite an interesting feeling.
Right, I've got a question for you. Malika's asking, what is the one item you would love to find to make props? So is there one kind of key golden item that would be good?
So Well, my partner's father is a model engineer, and he asked me if I get the idea first or if I find something and make it into something. And usually it's about 50-50. There's not particularly a holy grail sort of thing, but every now and then I'll find something that just gets me a little bit overexcited and makes me want to make it into something else. I mean, for instance, the Ghostbusters pack, that was down to last Asylum. We drove over to Horncastle, is it? Horncastle, yes, which is near Lincoln, which is quite well known for its antique shops. And I found I think it's a 1950s or 1960s ammeter. It's a big baker-like thing, very Art Deco looking, and I thought, oh, I quite like that. I'll buy that and turn it into something else. And I was sat having a cream tea, as you do when you're on holiday, and I showed it to my good lady, and went, yeah, it looks a bit like an Art Deco Ghostbusters PKE meter. Oh. And yes, that was the die was cast. That was it. It was like, well, I've got to bake myself a backpack to go with it now. But yes, it's no particular one item, but it can be anything, whatever stokes my imagination.
And we're going to be obviously having this Steampunk Festival over the weekend, the 25th, 26th of April, Steampunk over Ether, which is up there. Hang on, there you go, up there. So I was wondering if you'd do a little video, maybe a little video making workshop, or how to do something workshop. You know, like how to paint something or how to treat it. Would you be up for that? Do you think?
Yep, no problem.
Cool. And I should say, this is a call out for all makers, crafters, artists, performers, writers. We're looking for anybody to provide content for the weekend and to take part in the festival. Basically, the idea is this community thing. And we can do another question and answer thing with Herr Döktor and various other people. So we're looking for content, and you can send the content to, hang on, I'm just going to switch screens. There we go. You can send the content to news@steampaper.co.uk. Or if it's bigger, you can use WeTransfer and then use that email address to send it to. I've got another question here. So Carbonet's saying, have you ever toyed with the idea of growing a moustache or other manner of facial hair?
Well, I did actually do Movember last year,
right?
And I went for the sort of biker moustache.
Yes.
Which,
and how did that work out for you?
Well, I didn't get arrested.
Well, be thankful for small mercies, I suppose.
Yes. I did trim it for about one day into a matinee idol moustache, but unfortunately I realised that I've gone far too grey and I would have had to have inked it in. But right. Yes, maybe some other time.
Okay, I've got another question now from Malika again. If you were to be a real doctor, what would you be a doctor of?
Law.
Doctor of law.
I think I might have dodged a bullet there.
All right. Well, I think we've been chatting away for about half an hour now, which is probably
good Lord.
Yeah, I know exactly. So after this little interview, it will be available on Facebook, and it'll be posted to YouTube's the SteamPaper channel on YouTube as well. So everybody will have a chance to watch it there. So, but for now, I'm going to thank Herr Döktor for appearing with me tonight on the SteamPaper page. And so thank you very much, Herr Döktor.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, hang on, actually, I've got this button here. Hang on. Right. You probably can't hear that, but that's a round of applause. It's underwhelming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Well, have a good rest of internment or whatever we're doing.
Yes. All right. Cheers. So that was Herr Döktor there. I hope you enjoyed that. That's the first of a series of interviews we're going to be doing here on the SteamPaper page to keep people entertained and to generate interest for Steampunk over Ether, which is this one here. The virtual Steampunk Festival we're holding on the 25th and 26th of April, and we're looking for content. We're looking for video content. We're looking for workshops. We're looking for music. We're looking for anything really, anything to entertain people and to take part in this fabulous event. We're going to be doing some daft things. We've got plans for an online shopping channel, a live online shopping channel, which should be hilarious, and a number of other stuff as well. So if you've got any ideas, if you've got anything you want to contribute, then please do email news@steampaper.co.uk, steampaper.co.uk, and yeah, that's it really. So thank you very much for watching, and as I say, look forward to a few more of these interviews and videos in the next couple of weeks, and then hopefully we can build up to a really good festival in April and have a great steampunk community time, a great steampunk time, even if we're not in the same place together. So anyway, it's good night from me, Ilya Rostov at SteamPaper. Thank you.